Welcome to Rum in the Dark, a show where rum experts and enthusiasts partake in a blind tasting and using their senses alone try to guess what they have in their glass. Through these episodes, we hope that you too will learn a thing or two about rum as our guest tasters try and touch upon a number of aspects about each of the samples they're trying. One thing to keep in mind is that we're not out to trick anyone. We want to show you at home that blind tasting is never easy, even for those who have tried a lot of rum before. I'm your host, Chris von Steddink, and welcome to Rum in the Dark. So, hello and welcome everybody to Rum in the Dark episode 3. Today we have a new crew with us. We have Andrew Nicholls from William George Rum and ShakaCan. We have Don Davies, the head buyer from the Whisky Exchange, and we have Carsten Vlierboom from a small company that blends rum known as E&A Scheer. So some of you guys might have seen these people before. As I know, we've got some quite experienced tasters with us today, which is very exciting. And we'll go through it one rum at a time and see how close we get. So why don't we kick it off and start with rum number 1.
It's got like, you know there's some lovely fruit behind it. There's some vanilla there. It's got a little bit of that kind of slightly green banana character. And I'm pretty sure I've had this rum before. It's something very familiar about it. But it's one of those ones, like with all blind tasting, you can't quite put your finger on it.
Absolutely.
I find there's probably some aged rum in there which has been decolorized. Tastes like an aged rum, but it doesn't look like one.
What about, let's start with something easy once you've tasted it. Where do we think the ABV is lying on this one?
Oh God, that's the bit I'm shit at. It's not a wine. It's like higher than 40.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's 40-ish.
Yeah. It's got this heat. It's very interesting, actually. It's a bit of a donut rum. And when I talk about sort of something being a donut rum on the palate or a donut product, you get a hit of flavor on the beginning, and then it goes hollow, and then you get more flavor on the finish.
Yeah.
It's quite dry on the finishes. Actually, for me, it is quite light. I think texture is something we don't talk enough about when we talk about tasting, and it's often something that gives you quite a lot of clues. Mm-hmm. For me, it's quite light. It's quite fresh. It has dryness on the finish, which is I think maybe where
I think it'll be a molasses column still product.
Multi-column.
Yeah.
Because it's quite light. It hasn't got that kind of grip. Yeah.
And then I think the flavor would be from aging and maybe decolorized to just offset that.
Going in that direction, do we have a country or what? Where do we think this could be coming from, or a style? I mean, so yes, molasses column.
Do we think there's any sugar added to this? I'm getting a little kind of sweetness on the back of my palate.
If so, it's below 8 grams, but
otherwise
you'd pick it up. But
so Carsten, you say below 8 grams. I actually find that a very interesting comment. Is 8 grams a sweet spot for you as to where you pick up?
I would
notes?
From 8 grams and above, you can feel it.
Okay.
It starts filling, I guess, on the.
Yeah, it starts filling your tongue and you get an idea.
It would add more, I'm guessing, as well.
I'm not sure if there's any sugar added to this one, because if you know, it might not be as hot in your throat as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is warm.
That's interesting, because when you talk about levels of sugar additives, a lot of the information out there will be the exact number of grams, and then it comes down to 5 and less. But then if you've got that area between 5 to 8 that you don't actually really pick it up on the palate, but you would still pick it up on a hydrometer, whereas the standard of error, I guess, for the 5 or less can either come from things like aging, sugars coming out of the wood, for instance, or finishes could give you that. But I hadn't heard the 8 being the kind of the level that where you start to tip over into really experiencing it. So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, because you know, if you put 10 grams, it's clear.
Yeah,
it's very clear. 5, not really, and 8 is sort of that in between where you find it.
I like, as this conversation's going on, and Carsten and Don have been describing it's going molasses, column still, and then I see Andrew's face. Andrew looks like he's got something to say.
I actually, when I said earlier, this is pulling me in so many different directions. It really is. So I'm putting this at about 47% ABV. That's where I think it is, 45 to 47, somewhere around there. And it is very light. I do go along with molasses, column still, but there's a degree of texture there which is kind of throwing me off. There's also, so there's like a touch of oiliness to it, which doesn't make sense to me for this, and to be honest. And then there's also that subtle aging is just kind of throwing me off a bit with this as well. Like, it's one part of me wants to go towards kind of like Mauritius / like Australia kind of vibe running through this, but then at the same time there's bits of this that are throwing me off completely and taking me back towards the Caribbean as well. And even on the nose there was some like kind of briny notes I picked up, which again take me in a very different direction. So to stop the waffle, I'm like
all over the world.
Yeah. So it's from somewhere. It's from Scotland.
Yes.
It could be. It could be.
No, I don't think so. But
no, I don't think so. Not on this one.
This sort of talks either Trinidad or Central America.
I'm Central America. I'm with you. I was thinking potentially Venezuela.
Venezuela, yeah, or even Nicaragua. Could be Florida Caña, or it could be
Florida Caña.
Something like that.
Okay, so why don't we each make our full guess? We'll start with Carsten. So type of sugar, type of still, country, ABV, and then if you can try to guess something around what price class, or do you think it's kind of a middle or a premium product, or?
Yeah, so I'd say molasses, column still, some age to it, alcohol percentage just above 40%. I'm leaning towards Caribbean or Central America as origins. Probably if there's an age component in there, it'll be about 3 years old or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a bit more, but then it'd be part of the blend. No additives, I wouldn't think.
So you say blend. Do you think it's a blend from one source, or one source of different ages, or one production with?
I'd say it's a blend of aged and non-aged.
Okay.
Product, yeah. That's a wild guess, It's all wild guesses, really.
It really is. So far, I've been lucky, and I haven't had to do this.
Price point definitely not bottom shelf. It's really this is a premium white. Let's put it that way. Maybe not super premium, but premium. So what's the price point for that? You tell me. But
probably around 30-ish.
30-ish, 40-ish. Yeah.
All right. Don, you want to go number two?
So actually, just what Andrew just said was quite interesting when he was talking about the oiliness, and there is a bit of weight plus a bit of lightness. So then in my head, suddenly I was like, maybe it's not. I think there is definitely multi-column in here, but maybe there is a little bit of influence of some other stills potentially, that's just giving it maybe that slight texture. So it could have a little bit of kind of pod or something that's just. You're right, Andrew. That texture is quite an interesting comment. My feeling is I'm molasses based. I'm again in Central America. I think aged as well. There's definitely something that's giving it texture and tannin. And that sort of vanilla character with fruit is always something that reminds me of Latin America. It's kind of in my head. So I'm going to go Venezuela. I'm about 43% ABV.
43. Okay.
Could actually be Guyana as well, Don.
Yeah.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm very much leaning towards Venezuela as well with this. Yeah, I'm gonna go Venezuela.
Okay.
I love it. Andrew's just like, I'm going there. That's it.
Bang it. That's
On to the next one. I'm bored of this one.
Yeah.
I mean, an interesting thing with Venezuela is it doesn't lock you in a one type of still.
Yeah.
They have all different types of stills going on there, so that
weird,
leaves you
it's
open for a lot of blends.
Like throughout this, there's been times when I thought like, oh, maybe this is Dominican Republic, and then I've thought like, oh, maybe it's French Guiana, maybe it's, and like I don't know, but there's just little bits of, for every reason I find to go with a region, I find one not to, if you know what I mean. So it's a great choice of rum, Chris. Whatever it is, it's super interesting.
Yeah.
You're gonna put
All right.
that on.
And Andrew, your ABV point?
I'm gonna say 47.
47, you say? Okay. And cost, you're about the same as the others, and
Yeah.
around 30 mark. All right. Should we have the reveal of rum number 1? So we're dealing with Boutique Rum Company's signature blend number 1, which is a daiquiri blend that was brought about by Pete Holland. He helped design this blend. It is a blend of unaged Jamaican, unaged Martinique rum, as well as a small component of aged Jamaican rum, which I don't know the exact percentages, but let's say it's small. Pete was just like, say around the 5% of the blend area is an is an aged Jamaican. So I think that's quite interesting that you guys all picked up the aged component with it being such a small component of the blend. So the aged really did add these kind of vanilla tannin notes as well that you mentioned. One thing I actually don't know about this is when you mentioned that the aged component is charcoal filtered. I'm not sure that it is. It might be.
In this one, no.
It's not. Okay.
No, it's just because of the small percentage.
So when you do look at it in a bottle, it does have a slightly different color than when you just have a small volume in your glass. So there is a slight, not just clear note to it. And the ABV, 42%. We were all in the mid 40s, so I think we were all pretty close on that. Obviously, it's not only molasses. There's also some cane juice from Martinique. Which means that we're also dealing with pot still and column still, but the column still in this case wouldn't be large multi-column. It would more likely be smaller Creole style columns from Martinique. We do know that the Jamaican component is pot still, and we know that the Martinique and pot still and molasses, and we know that the Martinique component is cane juice and on a small column still.
Martinique could also be molasses and from a column, right?
It could be molasses, exactly. Yeah, it could be. Knowing this one specific blend, it is not the molasses one. It is meant to be the blend of the agricole style Martinique and Jamaican. So what do you guys think?
I think it's a great blend.
Yep. I agree 100% on that. That's why I chose this one, because I think it's delicious.
I think it's super interesting. Don't tell Pete I called it a donut rum, though. That, but it's very interesting.
I'm sure Pete will watch this. So
Pete, I didn't say that really. I think what's interesting when you blind taste, you should always go with your gut. And all of us were pretty much saying that it was a mix of something. We couldn't quite put our fingers on it. And actually, we should have just listened to. I mean, I put my nose in it. The first thing I thought was Jamaica, because I got banana.
Yep.
And then of course, and that's the thing. When you blind taste, you spend a lot of time second guessing yourself. And I think when you sort of really have to learn to blind taste properly, which I kind of had to do for wine, not for spirits, it's not allowing yourself. I mean, we talked it before we were on the call. Not allowing yourself to be so fixated on the destination. It's about the journey to get to that destination, what it is. Mm-hmm. I think this rum's a great example of that.
So what about...
If Chris could go back and pick all those little points that you mentioned there, Dawn, we were like torn all over the place. You could re-edit it so that we really nailed this.
Yeah.
It's very true. And because Andrew, you also mentioned the brininess that you were picking up, and you were saying that you were going towards a Mauritius style. And I mean, you definitely are picking up notes like that, and there is a brininess there. There's agricole in it. So of course you're going to get a little bit of this brininess coming through.
But it's a super interesting blend because it's one where it is little bits of everything, you know. So like once you know there's Jamaica in there, it's like, oh yeah, okay, like you can pick it up in the glass, and but it's not that obvious when you don't know that it's in there. Like there's just enough of it to add a fruity edge, but not enough of it to really scream Jamaica.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like just all in all, like super well blended, and it's a great little rum.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
As a daiquiri rum, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I find that the agricole meeting the Jamaican, they don't cancel each other out, but they do form something new. It doesn't jump out as being Jamaican and agricole, because a lot of blends you can actually rip apart the components and you can feel like, oh, well, you really get this like deep, heavy licorice note coming from like a caramel colorized Guyana with super funky Jamaican if they've got DOK or something in there, and you can really pick out the different points. Whereas this one, I agree entirely that it feels like one rum. It's nice. I really like it. And price point, yeah, it's around the €30 mark. So you guys we're all there, and yeah, it's a great daiquiri rum. All right, so rum number 1 down, and we're all now we're all loose. We've got that out of our system, so let's go on.
Thank you very much.
And on to number 2.
I might need to add some water to that one.
What about dry, right?
Well, I mean, there's either a butt ton of new oak or someone's trying to rapid age something in small barrels, and the ABV on that is, I don't even know if it's just not balanced. Sorry.
Interesting.
If someone's rum, I apologize in advance. But that alcohol is hot. It's not warming, it's hot.
It's rough around the edges, yeah?
Yeah. Would you, I mean,
it's just high in alcohol percentage, isn't it?
but it's not balanced. There's nothing holding it for me. And I feel like a lot
So what would you need to balance it? Would you need more age? Would you need, or just lower ABV, or?
I mean, I'm not anywhere near a rum maker. For me to have balance with alcohol, you have to have the fruit and the weight and the density of flavor. I mean, I don't know. Is there a lot of new oak or small barrels here? I'm feeling oak all over the place here.
Yeah, there's oak.
There. Okay, so we're all in agreement it's aged?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that. I think it's still young.
Okay.
Because the spirit feels quite raw.
So when you're saying ABV and it's high ABV, do you have a guess on where?
I'm going to put it at 56.
Over 50.
Mm. Over 50.
This is going well done.
This is what you call a pick me up.
I have to be objective about this rum. I should say.
All right, so I'm going 56 ABV. I'm going molasses based, combination of pot and column. I don't think there's one cask on this either. I think there's.
You think it's a finish?
Yeah, I think it's a sherry finish on this.
There's sulfur, so I would actually agree. I think there's some kind of wine cask finish there because there's sulfur. I can smell sulfur.
Do we have any guesses on a direction for country?
I'm going to say Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to recognize the same thing as you, Andrew.
And I'm going to say Foursquare. And I'm going to say...
I don't like it.
I'm going to say it's Foursquare Premise.
Interesting.
Premise.
I think Premise is not that high ABV. Okay, so we have two people going Barbados direction pot column.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm mixing up my Foursquare bottlings now, but I'm going, like I said, about 56%. pot column. I'm going Foursquare. I'm going bourbon and sherry cask finish, and I'm gonna guess it's 10 to 12 years old.
10 to 12. Okay.
10 to 12.
It's just the oak, and I never find that Richard's, I always said wines, spirits. It doesn't, like, the oak doesn't hit me like that, and neither does the alcohol. And I don't find it unbalanced. I do see what you mean about Barbados, because there is this kind of sweet fruit and the dried spices, which for me often is kind of a tale to Barbados. But I just think there's some new oak there that's just not.
I mean, there's stuff from Travelers which goes down that road as well.
Yeah, the Belize one could be Belize. I've tasted some from stuff from St. Lucia, which could go this direction as well.
Yeah,
but I don't think they bring these high alcohol percentages.
So that was actually on the last episode we did here. We used one of the St. Lucia low plate rums, which also had very similar notes to what you guys are describing as well.
There's this cherrywood character that I often associate with, it's like an American kind of character. I find it when I taste a lot of bourbons and stuff, which definitely could be like a bourbon cask influence. Sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If this is Richard's, can we not air this? Because
in episode number 1, we had the real McCoy 12-year Madeira cask. Everybody thought it was Panama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
I feel like it's younger as well. I'm just...
Okay.
There's a youthfulness to it that I'm just not... And I think that new oak is kind of giving it a lot of flavor and tannin.
What about other tasting notes? We're talking about a lot of oak. Are there other things we're picking up here?
There's this fruit. There's this sort of tropical sort of...
fruitiness in there. Maybe some banana.
Okay.
I'm getting a bit of a nuttiness as well. Like there's a bit of an almondine type note that comes through. Obviously things like vanilla come through as well. But yeah, for me that I don't know, there's just a level of dark fruitiness and kind of almost dried fruitiness that I tend to get with sherry cask finishes, and specifically sherries like Oloroso. So maybe I'm completely off. I mean, there is actually, now I'm kind of being thrown off because now there's like this.
What do you think?
Huh?
The longer you think about it.
I know.
What I'm thinking, Andrew.
Yeah, we should have just ended it when you jumped in there in the beginning. You're like, so it's molasses, it's hot column blend. Just leave it there. Your first intuition's always the best.
Because the first nose is very similar to Foursquare nose. So if it's not, it's somebody who makes a decent rum. Might need to reconsider aging according to Don.
And ABV.
Or just age longer? Could aging longer balance out the ABV?
For me, no.
No? Okay, interesting. So Carsten, do you want to go through your guess? We agreed on molasses.
Molasses, pot and column, and very much in the line of what Andrew's saying.
Okay. And ABV?
High 50s.
High 50s. Mm-hmm.
It's actually better with a bit of water.
And
actually, that cherry character comes out.
Age is over 8.
Over 8. Mm-hmm. And Dawn, do you have your final guess to throw together?
Molasses.
Pot column, did you say, or column?
Pot
column.
I think 8 is an interesting number. I think 8's quite I can see why Carsten's saying 8, because there's still youth to it. For me, I'm just not sure I'm in Barbados, but I have no bloody clue where I'd be if I was.
Yeah, like the more I'm tasting it, the more I'm second guessing my choice now as well. Like,
I mean, it could be something like America.
Baileys might be another good guess.
Yeah, I'm now that's kind of where I'm headed as well. Kind of either Belize or even Nicaragua.
Yeah, that's the dry wood is very Nicaragua, but
Yeah.
There is a pottiness to this thing which I don't think you find in Nicaragua too much. So that would lead it more towards Belize.
Here we go.
Gonna be another big...
Number 2.
Oh, no way!
So we're in Panama. And I love the discussion we've just had, because in the other episodes, I've either taken a St. Lucia, I've had a Belize, and people have gone, it's Barbados. And then I've had Barbados rum, and they've said, it's Panama or Belize. And now we have a Panama rum, and people guess Barbados. And it just shows that they do really have similar flavor profiles. So this one is ABV. We all guessed it was high, 60.9%. It is a single cask. One thing I can say about this specific release is that it's aged in new oak. So the whole young oak thing that you were saying coming through, and the discussion around it could be ex-bourbon. When you use the American virgin oak, which they have here, you end up making it more bourbony than using bourbon oak because of the fact that bourbon's made on raw American oak. So definitely, Don, you were bang on talking about the age and unused American oak.
I'm super susceptible to oak, and I think that's why. Like it was, I put my nose in the very beginning. I was like, "There's new oak here," like, and that's why I just couldn't get my head around it being Richards. I'm very glad it isn't Richards, because I'd be defriended right now. However, Florent is probably defriending me as we speak. So
that's all right.
I mean, no, I personally like this rum. I didn't say what I was thinking as we were drinking it. I think it's quite good, and I do see the similarities to Richards rums as well. And I really like Richards rums, so I very much enjoy this rum. Definitely, it's wood influence. Most of the characteristics we were discussing were wood. Vanilla and spice and high tannins. It is only 9 years old, so the guess is of around 8 to 10. I mean, it's right in there. So I think there were many things we were getting right on this rum. It being from Panama, I don't know. I've tried to find information about this specific bottle. I don't know specifically which distillery it came from. I believe it's from Varela. So being from Varela, then it's also not 100% certain that it would be molasses. It could also be some sugarcane syrup in the distillation process. That information I actually don't have. But Varela often uses sugarcane syrup as well as molasses, and they can do both. So that's a possibility here. It would be column still. And yeah, what do you guys think?
I think. Sorry, Carsten, carry on.
It'll be Varela, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I happen to know where it comes from. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there we go. And do you happen to know how often Varela would be cane juice, or not cane juice, syrup versus molasses versus a mix?
No, I wouldn't. No. I know they do the both, and there is a fair amount of blending of those distillates and then aging.
So it's a possibility.
Sure. Yeah, it's a possibility, but it's very difficult to say whenever this happened 9 years ago, what sort of blend they made before they aged it. So that's a hard one.
Would any of you call this a typical Panamanian rum?
No. I would say it's more of an English style rum than sort of a Latin rum.
Yeah,
strangely enough.
Again, very, very clever selection there, Chris. Certainly, like for me personally, on the nose and the palate, it's not a rum that screams Panama to me. Like as I said, once you keep going back to it and you keep thinking about it, then I did start to doubt that Foursquare. But there's a lot of Barbados running through that as well. And like you said, to anybody who's a fan of rum from Barbados and looking to try something new, then it's a great one. Of course, bear in mind it is 60%, but
so are a lot of Richards.
Yes, yeah.
Shall we move on to rum number 3.
Shit, Chris, you're not making this easy here.
No, this is
blind tasting is not. It's not easy, even if it's the most obvious rum that you think you pick up a rum and you
can be fairly easy.
Yes, MOBA, for instance.
This is not easy.
I think you were just mean. I think this is the rum that you just talked about, the Corona cask. There's a funk there on this, definitely.
Okay.
I'm definitely picking up kind of banana bread and nuts. I get those sort of sweet nuts, those sugared almonds, lots of spice. A little grassy though, also.
That's grassy. There's grassiness there.
Yeah, there's definitely grassiness.
But there's also earthiness to it. Like it's.
This is one of your aged agricoles now.
It hasn't got. Sometimes with me with aged agricole, you've got that linseed note.
Yeah, and it'll be a little sour.
It's really complex, actually.
It's delicious.
A really nice kind of mix of flavors. It's
nothing has been guessed yet. It's a delicious rum, according to Andrew. Mix of flavors. I've heard.
That's it. That's my choice.
I've heard tasting notes that cover every style of rum I could imagine.
I'll go for not bad, very nice, thank you. Yes.
Yep.
I'll have another, please.
that one.
We can go to the same place we started with the first two. Do we have an estimation of ABV? Where are we? How hot are we saying this is? Or is it well integrated alcohol? Is it?
Yeah, it is very well integrated alcohol. This, I think
it's high though. It's near around 50s.
Yeah, I'd be about 56, I reckon, on this.
Okay.
But still drinkable.
But maybe we should listen to ourselves on this one. That we're talking that it's a mix of everything.
So Don's going in the blend direction.
Yeah. I think there's some elements of juice in there. There's a lot of age. There might be some molasses elements as well.
I get sulfur again on this, actually. I get a struck match, but it's good sulfur in this case. Like it's that sort of savory sulfur, not.
So I've heard, actually, Don, that's an interesting point that you bring up, because I had experienced sulfur on rums before, but I had never actually thought about where it was coming from. And then I listened to a podcast that you were, I believe, with Maggie Campbell, and you were discussing aging in wine casks and how sulfur can dominate because of the fact that high ABV can extract that from the wood and interact in a way that wine does not. So when you say this is good sulfur, how does that compare to, and do you think it's coming from that process, or where do you think the sulfur is coming from?
Could be the stills as well. So it's different. In Scotch whiskey, you get it from if you've got worm tubs. But for me, when it's good sulfur, it adds a savory quality. So for me, that's potentially maybe more from distillation than potentially from oak. That's a personal thing, maybe. But it definitely lends itself to having almost a slightly meatiness. So you get it in wine as well. I think there's good sulfur in wine, where it just adds a little kind of struck match, flint character.
Yeah, the flint thing is, on the free or something,
Yeah. It can carry
flavor. It's going to sound bizarre, but I get for me, it's like a strawberry sulfur note.
Yeah, I got watermelon, actually, so I totally know what you mean.
I was just, when Andrew was saying that, I was smelling it and going, I'm picking up berries, like sweet berries, strawberries, yeah.
I mean, could that be wine cask finish?
Definitely.
I mean, there's
if it's in a lot of wine casks do have some sulfur influence, right?
A lot, yes, because they're trying to protect them.
Yeah. What happens then is if you put a spirit in that afterwards before cleaning it out or steaming it out, the spirit will really pick up that sulfur, and then you get bad sulfur notes. You get, not struck matches, but a whole handful of matches.
Yeah.
But this, I think, is so the sulfur here is not overly.
No, I like it. I think it adds a little bit of depth. And I think what people forget is actually when wine's being made, you put sulfur in it. So you don't come from someone sulfuring a cask. it may come from the wine that was in that cask before.
Yeah, and the wood picks it up, but it stays in the wood. So if you don't clean the wood before you use it for aging of spirits, then it runs right through.
So do we have
a lot going on the nose? Like Dawn mentioned, I think it was Dawn mentioned a mentholy type note. For me, I'm getting almost like a eucalyptus type note, so it's along that same line. There's that strawberry sulfury type notes. It's got that almost like, not quite cigar box, but you know that like
Cedarwood.
Yeah, cedarwood kind of
Sweetness
character going on there as well, but it's citrusy at the same time, and it's not really like intensely fruity, but it's
not just juice, is it?
No.
It's very, very familiar about it. There's something. It's that kind of forest floor, dried autumn leaves, you know, like that. Kind of, and olives. I get olives on this. I get a lot of green olive.
Ah, interesting. So are we going to throw cane juice into the mix as well?
We're going to put everything in there.
Everything is in this one.
This is a world blend.
Chris, is this the blend you made when you moved apartments and it was just the dregs of every bottle went in?
That's a delicious bottle of rum.
That's called a Mitch blend, actually.
Chris's infinity bottle somewhere.
There are a few of those. So yeah, do we have any guesses on origin or origins?
Origins,
yeah, I'd go with that. I mean, there's times when I've been nosing this when I've thought of, Guyana. I've thought of hints of Port Morenton there, and then I've thought of Australia with bits of Beamley, and
Australia was
even Reunion. Like there's, and then for some reason, like also a touch of Jamaica comes through for me as well.
There's that banana that's just sitting there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But sometimes some things like Fiji, I get that kind of banana too.
Yeah.
Fiji's a tough one because Fiji's, I mean, that's another place that can produce rums that taste like Barbados and rums that taste like heavy St. Lucia. You can get it.
No, but Chris, the setup is very much the same. It's actually in Fiji, the distillery is like an old-fashioned British style distillery set up with a small pot and a column and they have the same blending techniques. It's very, very similar to St. Lucia in a way.
Yep, for sure.
And the only good thing about St. Lucia is that their pots, they have some different pot styles, like a Van Dom and a John Doerr, which give all these really, really funky notes and different notes. But Fiji, I love it very much. I really do. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, there's an oiliness on this as well. I really just love texturally. Again, I really like it. And that oak is so well balanced. It's so well integrated. Yeah. I mean, I've pretty much drunk the whole bottle. Chris, if I'd like another one, please. Thank you very much.
We can fix that. That's a hint.
I've already got it.
I can get you more. So yeah. Why don't we do some guesses through this? Does anyone want to go first and kind of tick off points? Who's the brave one?
All right. So pot, column, juice, molasses. So we're going to throw all of those in there.
Okay.
Ages in there.
I think this has got some good age.
All different ages.
I would say it's a blend of ages, but minimum age. Jesus, that's difficult.
Maximum age?
Also difficult.
Because there's a youthful quality to it that's freshness is very, very much there. So there feels like there's something young in there, but then you've got this complexity which indicates age.
I mean, all I can do is say what I'm tasting, and I'm tasting bits from Guyana, Jamaica, Australia.
Australia being the kind of green eucalyptus you were mentioning, or what are the
and that
Australian
citrusy note that comes through as well.
Citrusy?
I find Australian rums tend to have a lovely citrusy note to them, and again that eucalyptus note as you mentioned.
And it gives you quite a full feeling, full mouth feeling as well.
Yeah, and I don't think this is pure pot, but I think it's predominantly pot. I do think there's a bit of column running through there. There's this grassiness on the mid palates, which I associate with column. Not multi-column, but like coffee.
As a question, do you think there's any additions?
No, but it's peppery. It's peppery.
It is peppery, that's for sure.
So Carsten's almost done his guessing, and ABV you said also 50-ish. I think you started with that at the beginning. All right. So Andrew, you've almost got through yours as well. Andrew, you haven't commented on the age on yours. I mean, it is tricky, especially if you've made up your mind that it's a blend of multi-origin and different styles. Then it could also be a wide range of ages.
And if you had different styles, it could also be a distillery that produces many different styles. So it could be something like Guyana.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's typically a Guyana from Guyana, it would taste like Guyana, and this isn't predominantly Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
Just something.
This is going to be something. I'm dreading this reveal. I really am. It's going to be something so like
MOBA.
It's gonna be Black Top 50th, isn't it? You fucker.
I can tell you 100% it's not Black Top 50th because sample 3 was originally Black Top 50th, and then when Don got in here, we switched that one out. So yeah, exactly. Carsten still has his sample that he got sent.
I'm going to drink that tonight. I will be tasting that later on. Thank you very much. Love it.
It's a delicious rum. So it's not that. Carsten has them next to each other. He can attest that it's not that.
No, it's not the same.
Not even the same color. All right. Don, any final additions to this, or are we all just saying it's a mix? It's a mixed bag.
Not a goddamn clue, but I like it.
But you like it.
Yeah.
Everyone likes it?
It's simple. Who gives a fuck where it's from?
It's simple and it's delicious. All right, shall we reveal? And rum number 3.
Oh, shit.
Sample 11. So this is from the guys at Wagging Finger who are behind brands such as Kintra. Some of you might have seen Kintra before. So sample 11 is a blended rum bottled here in the Netherlands. And all of you guys are correct. Sample 11 is a blend that contains a lot of different components in it. It contains the largest component, Guyana. It also has Barbados. Those are the two big ones. Then you have Panama, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, ranging across all ages, although the older ones are only up to about 5 years old. So there's not a whole lot of age in this blend.
Okay.
And the one thing that I love about the Sample 11 story is also the fact that when they made Sample 11, they said that they wanted to add just a little touch of something that was already theirs, that wasn't just the blend. And Eric from Kintra had some previous bottles, single cask bottlings he had done from before. So into the blend before bottling, he added 1 bottle of a 19-year-old Coroni and another bottle of a 27-year-old Enmore. So,
no way.
But into the big batch. So there's a very, very, very less than 1% Coroni and Enmore, extremely aged, in the base of this. And then they released that as Sample 11, which is a standard blend that you can buy. This specific one is an extra matured edition. So while the normal one is in the mid 40s ABV, this one's at 51.7, and it's a single cask finish. And this specific one has been finished in an ex-Bellevue cask from Guadeloupe. So it spent 1 year in an ex-Bellevue cask, and the Bellevue was the 1998 batch. So that was the molasses-based Bellevue that lots of people see float. There are lots of those bottlings around from different independent bottlers. One of my favorite Guadeloupe rums, actually. So yeah, that's what we have in here. So basically, it is a mix of everything.
Chris, what's the price point?
Price point of this one is around 50.
Can you put me in touch with them?
I most certainly can.
I really liked it.
Really should have. Like, I feel bad I didn't pick up on this because I was drinking it with Eric about 3 weeks ago. So
it's really not an easy rum to get. The reason I threw this one in is specifically because it is what you guys described. So basically, you guys all nailed it. So what did you guys think of that one? You all liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, Don, you said get you in touch with him. That's a good compliment.
You would
price point. Price point. You guys think it's it's good. I think it's actually. Now I want to be sure, but I think it might even be mid 40s. It might be 45 to 50, something in that range.
That's 40, mid 40s. That over delivers.
Yeah, I think it's a great rum. This is the one cask edition, so there will be other cask editions as well. There's another one. The first extra matured edition that they did was in a Worthy Park cask. So basically, when they do releases of their own rums, the Sample X series, which is like individual casks, they then take their Sample 11 blend and finish it in the casks that they've bottled. So there will be more.
It's great experimenting by these guys, eh?
Yep, I really think so. So, I want to just say thank you all for being a part of that. Definitely not an easy tasting today. There were a couple blends thrown in there. I haven't had so many blends of multi-countries in the other episodes. However, today, for some odd reason, I thought it could be fun to have some multi-country blends. And I actually think we were, again, pretty close. I mean, you're never bang on unless it's something super obvious, and that's really rare in blind tasting. But I think the notes that you picked up to describe what were in the bottles is exactly true to what those bottles were intending to be. So thank you guys for being a part of that, and hope to see you again on another episode of Rum in the Dark.
Well, thank you very much,
thanks
Chris.
for having us, Chris.
Extremely interesting and tough.
And tough,
but fun. And I think rum should be fun in any way or form. So this is good.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Rum is fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
But easier.
Yeah.